Hi everyone, I welcome you all to this session on communication and presentation skills. My name is Mukundan Kulur and I work as Innovation Manager at Forge Accelerator. In my role, I work with startups and organize pitch clinics to help them create compelling pitch decks. In this session, I'm going to walk through various tips, methods, and techniques to help you create your own compelling cases. When asked to present, most people get nervous and no one comes forward to willingly do it. This is mainly because of a fear and lack of preparation. With proper preparation and training, anyone can come forward and pitch their ideas and engage the audience. When I say presentation, what comes to the mind? This is what comes to my mind. A slide full of text in which I can't differentiate the key points from the notes and descriptions. This is a very common practice in which the presenter dumps a lot of information in one slide and spends the whole session reading from it. He neither looks at the audience nor engages with them in a meaningful way. Another way the information is presented is through lists. This is better than the previous method, but is still time consuming to read and does not mean anything to the audience. The audience spends a lot of time reading the text rather than focusing on what the presenter is telling. This results in the audience being bored, distracted, and wondering why they are even here. The meaning of the presentation is lost as it does not convey any real information or understanding to the audience. The reader is focused on pushing out as much information as possible in as limited number of slides and as fast as possible. This is a very common practice in presentations. This neither gives the audience the time to understand nor the patience to comprehend the information. By reading the information, the presenter looks at the slides and not at the audience. This disengages them from the people. Facing the audience and having eye contact with the people is very important for engagement, and this is largely absent in regular presentations. And therefore, the audience get distracted, they play in their phones or even go to sleep. Bad presentation can kill ideas. With meaningless information and having no structure to the presentation can make it more confusing for the audience and the people listening in it. Without a proper structure, there is no flow to the presentation, which results in a loss of meaning. This results in an adverse impact as information is lost and resulting in a weak case that is not compelling enough for the audience to buy into the idea. This problem is not just limited to India, it exists throughout the world. People keep creating presentations with no focus on the audience and lack in communication skills. There have been numerous comics created to illustrate the point that such presentations have been the death of many. That is why presentation is an important skill to learn and is much necessary for anyone venturing into the business world or even interacting with them. It is a very essential skill that anyone and everyone should learn. So, why do we need to focus on pitching a presentation? Or, more importantly, why should innovators focus on pitching and presenting their ideas to an audience? Who is the audience? What kind of content should I prepare? These are some questions that pop up into the minds of an innovator when we ask them to pitch. Before talking about why we need a pitch, I want to tell what happens without a pitch. Without a pitch, it is really difficult to convince your audience on what you are doing and why it is valuable. For example, when you explain to your friend about the startup you're working on, you are essentially pitching to him about the task you do, the problems you solve, and the value you add to the society. You're trying to convey to him that what you're doing has a huge potential, it's valuable, and essentially, it's impactful. A pitch is a short presentation, usually 5 to 7 minutes, that summarizes the beneficiaries, the problems they face, the journey involved in creating a solution. It connects the various insights together to build the whole picture and tells the audience why your solution is the best. It has a slide deck that is used to structure the content, and the presenter walks through the content with the audience. The goal of a pitch is to convince your audience that what you are doing is necessary and is the best solution to the existing problem. Time is always an important factor in a pitch. You need to structure your presentation based on the time and ensure that you are able to pace your pitch according to that. This can only be obtained through a proper structure and a script that is rigorously practiced and timed. You need to know the content by heart so that you will never look at the slides and engage with the audience during the presentation. The content used in the presentation should be customized according to the audience. The same content can be presented in different ways to different audiences. For example, when I'm pitching to customers, I focus on the customer problems and how I can add value to them as they are most interested in that. When I'm pitching to investors, my goal is to convince them that there's a huge market potential and growth opportunity. Therefore, I put content that is relevant to that. When I'm looking for grants, I focus more on the milestones, the development roadmaps, and how I achieve my outputs because grant providers want to know how the money is going to be used. Though the content is same, each audience is looking for different information, and therefore I need to make sure that right information is provided to the right audience. As a presenter, you bring life to the pitch and are the soul of the presentation. Your manner and confidence is what makes the audience listen and engage. You need to look at them while presenting and spread your focus to all the people, not just one segment of the audience. You should not just read the slides, but add more information, give meaning to what is shown to the slides. The slides give structure to your presentation while you give the life to the content. You create the links to the various information, create meanings, build the picture for the audience on what you're doing and why you're doing it. The slides should work and be understandable without you, while you should also be able to speak without the slides. Together, you work and add the most value. You build on each other, where the slide supports your statements. You build on the content from the slides. To engage the audience and make it more lively, four elements are commonly used: stories, numbers, pictures, and examples. These elements, when properly used, can make your presentations more interesting and appealing for the audience. They bring out emotions, add personality and character which may not be easily conveyed through words. Depending on the audience, these elements can be combined and varied according to the content. Stories. Stories are one of the oldest means of communication and method of engaging the audience. Since ancient days, people have been conveying key information through stories. Ramayana, Mahabharata were all initially told as stories to convey life lessons and wisdom. It was only in the later period that they became published as books, but still they are in form of stories to make it more engaging and interesting. Stories are attractive as they stimulate our imagination and let us understand and feel the character. We humans are attuned to listening stories for they convey more than just words. They engage the mind in different ways that is not possible with regular presentation. They make us think. There is an element of creativity and imagination that is linked with the stories. This is what makes stories an effective presentation tool. Storytelling has been proven to be an effective and efficient way to engage the audience. It can be used to structure your presentation, or you can tell stories about customer problems, your personal experiences, describe the environment and behavior of different people. Your startup journey in identifying the challenges and building the solution can also be told in form of stories. Stories have a beginning, a rising action, a crisis, a climax, and a denouement. All of these steps together convey the journey of the hero from the status quo to where he is facing a problem and how he solves it to have a happy ending. For example, I normally drive to office by car and arrive before 9 o'clock. Today, I was feeling tired and started my day with a coffee before arriving at office around 9:15. In this gap of 15 minutes, I found that I couldn't find a parking lot. I kept circling around the whole area, yet I could not find a space. I cursed at myself for taking the extra time for coffee. Yet, that was not the major problem. That was when I realized that parking is a huge problem, not just for me, but for many other people. I decided that I would solve the parking problem and build a smart solution. For this, I brought my team together and we hacked our brains to design, develop, and test the solution. Thus, we are here presenting our solution and looking for investments to scale up and get our products into the hands of the different customers. This here is a real example how I bring about my personal experience and talk about the journey that led me to build a startup from that one experience. This is one example of how a storytelling can be used to link the problem, the journey, and personal experiences to create a compelling case. Numbers are important as they convey the size, the scope, and the potential of the problem. They also add additional information on by quantifying how significant each entry is. Numbers always work better when they are shown in slides and stressed upon during presentations. These need not be just in form of numbers, they can be represented in form of charts, diagrams, icons, or even use creative ways to link the numbers with their representative data entries. Charts and infographics are very effective and most commonly used for conveying the statistics on how important each data entry is. It is important to make sure that the data is accurate, relevant, and is free from errors, for they can lead to misinterpretation and even wrong assumptions. Charts and infographics are popular as they can compress lots of information in a small amount of space. This makes it more meaningful for the presenter, which conveys maximum amount of information to the audience in the shortest amount of time. For example, the two charts on the left convey the processes and the priority. The image on the lower left conveys the hierarchy and the ladder in which the infographic element can be made successful. These are infographics that are used for graphic design. The chart on the right talks about the growth rate of US agricultural exports and compares them with the different regions across the world. As you can see, each chart has a lot of information that is put in a creative and attractive manner so that the audience finds it appealing and take the maximum information out of it. Here is another example which is taken out of a pitch deck. As a presenter, I would say that there are 2 billion smartphones in the world, of which 45% of the users do not use any antivirus. So there's a huge potential for antivirus software makers. This is a traditional way in which presenters represent their numbers. It's showcased in a list. This is neither attractive nor useful for the audiences to infer any meaning. Or I can show the same information in much more visually appealing manner. The same information, 2 billion smartphones in the world, are showcased as round dots, of which 45% of the users who do not use any antivirus is highlighted in yellow color. The remaining 55% are shown in gray. This directly conveys that the bright colored yellow one is an accessible market, whereas the gray 55% is inaccessible as they already use some other solutions. Through visual means, I can easily represent and highlight the key information. And when you again state it in your presentation, the message is strongly conveyed to the audience. Thus, through visual representations like charts, infographics, numbers can be made more meaningful and be used to engage the audiences. Moving on to the next element, pictures, we find that pictures are very commonly used elements. Humans are visually oriented, and therefore images are one of the most powerful elements that can be used in presentations. This is because a picture can be used to convey many meanings in comparison to words. Pictures have the ability to evoke our emotions as they convey a lot of information in the shortest amount of time. They can be really powerful when used properly. That is why key speakers and top presenters use images in their presentation. For example, this is a picture. I find this so powerful that I need not even use words to convey what it means. It makes me think beyond what is shown and link it with my knowledge and understanding. When I see this, I think about the dirty, unhealthy environment the worker is working in. I also think about how difficult life is for him, as he has no protective gears and he does this every single day of his life so that he can earn a living. Compared to words that function at a superficial level, such images touch deep within us and evoke feelings and emotions that build a personal connection with the audience. The last element, examples, is another powerful way to engage the audience if used in the right manner. By using examples, you make it easier for the audience to comprehend information as you link complex topics to familiar elements. For example, when I say that I'm going to provide an experience like Apple, the audience immediately understands that the experience is going to be premium, free from bugs, issues, and it's going to be simple to use. I need not explain anything more than that. By linking familiar concept, which is Apple product experience, I link the familiar experience with my product so that the customers can immediately grasp the information that my product is going to be a premium, bug-free, simple to use product. Another example is when I say that my product is going to be Swiggy for groceries. People understand that it's going to be an app that enables me to order items from any supermarket or grocery store and get it delivered to my home in the fastest time as possible and in the cheapest cost. I need not explain anything more, for people are already familiar with the concept of Swiggy. And when I say link it with the groceries, they immediately link the business model with this new entity. Real feedback from customers are valuable as they point that I have a compelling case and that they are actually willing to pay for my product. By using real use cases and customer insights, I show that I have a market and it's not just a hypothetical situation. Through this, my product is attested by real customers who would in the end use it. By this, I create a compelling case for the audience that my products are real, tested, and valid. This is shown largely through customer testimonials, feedback, and user testing, where the customers are involved in testing the products and in real situations. By showcasing the competition for my solution, I already create a link between existing and familiar solutions to my solution. This enables the audience to understand what I'm offering and how it is positioned in comparison to the competition. Through this, They can easily identify what are the key value, the benefit, and what is my compelling case compared to the other solutions in the market. Till now, we have looked at the different entities and elements that go into making a good presentation. But for a good pitch, there are a few other things that need to be considered so that we can make it a compelling pitch deck. A pitch has 3 points of engagement. A hook at the beginning so that you can engage the audience right from the beginning. This is done through personal experiences, use case, rhetoric questions, or market insights. The meat is the middle part, which is provided to make the audience understand more about your product, your solution, or the problem. It provides in-depth information and talks about why it is important to work on this. This is represented in form of a series of activities that are listed in as a timeline and the various focus areas that are researched. A payoff is the closing statement that is mandatory and includes a thank you note. This is where you invite the audience to engage with you and make sure that it is memorable for them because you ask them to. Taking a storytelling approach to develop the pitch, there is an exposition or a beginning, a rising action, a crisis, a climax, and a denouement. The first element is the exposition, and it is all about the setting up the context for the whole story. You define who are the people involved, what are the tasks they want to complete, and in which environments do they exist. This is the You establish the scenario in which you develop your idea, define the context and what task needs to be completed, and link the different stakeholders involved by explaining their use cases. Following this, we talk about the problems faced by the stakeholders that prevent them from successfully completing their tasks. This includes any gaps or difficulties that exist in the market. As part of the rising action, you explain how big the market is, what is the significance of this market, and who are your actual customers and users in this specific market, and finally, what is the potential of this market. Crisis is all about the key hurdles faced by the customers or users and the difficulty in finding a suitable solution. This includes the barriers that make it difficult for them to adopt a solution, the expectations and requirements for a solution. The content used in this and the previous phases need to be backed with proper evidences that show the real scenario. This is associated with the problem for which you're building a solution and leads to the vision. The vision gives a glimpse of the future you want to create and how, as an innovator, you can provide a solution to overcome the challenges faced by the customer or user. In essence, you provide the value proposition of what you aspire to deliver and how it would benefit the customers and what features and functions enable you to make the solution adoptable. Following this, you provide deeper insights on the vision, how you explore, design, and develop your final concepts. You talk about the journey from which you identify the key elements of your solution and how you, as a team, bring them together to meet the customer's needs. Your journey ends in validating with proof on why your solution is best and how it differs from other competitors and what makes your product compelling enough for the customer to adopt it into their daily use. Finally, you conclude with a vision on how the product will be realized and depict them through insights on the team, the skills and the capabilities, the models used for running, operating, and financing your business, and the various milestones required to realize this dream. Before you end the presentation, you need to give the audience a heads up on what is expected out of them. This is the hook or the ask statement. It is customized to fit the audience and allows the audience to contribute some value. For example, are you looking for the people in the audience to invest in your startup? Or are you looking for some feedback? Or are you here to sell your product and use the pitch as a marketing strategy? You need to define the ask statement. And finally, make sure you end the presentation with a thank you and provide your contact details. Following this, there is the Q&A session. Another method used to prepare the content is the 3-minute pitch canvas. This is built by the Forge team and is popularly used for helping teams build their pitch decks and ensure that they cover all key areas during presentation. I have mentored many teams to prepare their pitch decks using this canvas. There are 6 focus areas: challenge statement, challenge significance, target user and use case, adoption barriers, value proposition, MUP concept or solution concept. A challenge statement is about the challenge as it's encountered by different beneficiaries. This defines the problem at its root and is identified through iterative root cause analysis involving the real beneficiaries. Challenge significance describes the magnitude of the problem, the incidence rate, significance of solving the problem, the possible benefits that can be achieved for the various beneficiaries when the challenge is solved. Target user identifies the beneficiary who gains the most from solving the problem. This enables the innovator to identify the customer who would pay for the solution. Use case describes the scenario in which the problem is faced, its environment, the conditions, the gaps for which the solution is being developed. Adoption barrier is about the usability and deployment constraints that need to be considered to enable the user to easily adopt the solution into their daily lives. This includes factors like total cost of ownership, maintenance, and service feasibility, the skills and expertise required to use the solution, installation and integration challenges, the resources and materials required to set up, the time consumed, risk posed to physical and personal health, trainings required to install and utilize the solution, any changes in the habits. Value proposition defines your solution and the value offered to the customers. You describe what pains you relieve, what kind of benefits you offer for the different beneficiaries, and how compelling you are in comparison to the other solutions in the market. The MVP concept or solution concept delves deeper into the solution, its core features and functionalities. You talk about the expectations of the customers and how you fulfill it. Examples from users can be used to convey the value offered, the experience gained, and how you validate the concept. The hurdles faced by the customers and how you overcome them are also covered. You show videos, pictures on how you developed your solutions with proof for how you validated it with customers. Finally, you cover models and methods used to take the product to the customers and enable them to adopt it into their daily lives. As shown in this canvas, you spend most of your time covering the value proposition and solution concept, while keeping the challenge statement, challenge significance, target user, and use case adoption barriers to a minimum time. This does not mean that you reduce content. You make sure that there is clarity and focus in your content. You plan and structure your presentation based on this content and ensure that there is a good story to be conveyed to the audience. This canvas, in combination with the storytelling approach, can make your presentation engaging for the audience. I'm going to use a real example to walk through this approach. Gloveit is a product for assisted physiotherapy provided by Pratika Ran and is incubated at Forge. Here I talk about the problem, the beneficiaries, and in what kind of environments they face the problem. Here I'm building the context which lays the foundation for the whole presentation and the solution I'm going to cover. Following this, I give more deeper insights on the user and what kind of pains he experiences. Then I give more insights on the significance, the magnitude of the problem as it's experienced around the world. This covers the customer segments I'm going to target. I back up these insights with the proper data validation obtained from the various beneficiaries and understand how the process works. This helps me gain a deeper understanding on the problem, the context, and the environment in which these beneficiaries work together. Further, I start looking deeper into the problem and identify the various issues and how they link together to create the bigger problem. I look into the market, identify the current available solutions, what are the challenges, and what are the gaps that make it difficult and create pains for the beneficiary. This involves deep market research on the solutions available in the market and how their features and functions create gains and pains for the various beneficiaries. You also identify the most suitable competitor who works similar to your solution and how they differentiate their product and identify their business model. Till now, we have covered the first four phases: challenge statement, challenge significance, target user and use case, adoption barriers. From this, we move on to value proposition. Here, you define the core value offered to the customers, the pains being relieved, the benefits offered to the different beneficiaries, and how you are positioned in comparison to the other solutions. Then you talk about what is your vision and how you're going to realize it in real world. This links the different beneficiaries with your product and how the different features and functions are integrated to create a unified service. For example, in this case, the Gloveit is going to be used as a device as a service model where it integrates the doctors, hospitals, and stroke affected patients through a game and smart platform. After describing the vision, we talk about how the different beneficiaries experience benefit and what features and functions enable them to get it. Here, we talk about how the doctors and hospitals can use the smart glove to accurately diagnose the patient. And in this case, we see how the stroke affected patients can use the game and the smart glove to engage and motivate themselves to recover. And finally, we talk about how the trained professionals can use the smart glove and the Gloveit platform to continuously monitor and analyze the platform to provide better care and treatment. To finish it off, we talk about how the pricing model works and what kind of benefits it offers to all the stakeholders. Moving on, we talk about how we developed our concept. This is through customer feedback and how we co-created with them to create concepts that are actually usable and engage the customers. To ensure that the features and functions work as expected, we built proof of concepts to test the data transferability. This enables us to validate that the data is transferred from the smart glove to the control system. Another POC we built was focused on data accuracy. This validates the accuracy of the data being transferred. The key aspect that interests the people and the audience is that how are we different from the competition? This is showcased here through the various adoption factors, what brings about the competitive advantage, and what makes us completely different from the other smart solutions. You definitely need to add information about the team, the mentors and advisors who help you realize this vision and dream. By adding information about the team, the panel of mentors, you showcase to the jury that you have the capabilities to realize and ensure that you have a successful product. Adding information about the next steps shows that you have a future plan and you know what you are trying to achieve. And finally, you conclude with your ask or hook statement. In this case, they ask for help in enabling the stroke victims to make full recovery. In this, we combine the market gap analysis with the adoption barriers and showcase how our product is much better than the solutions available in the market. By solving the adoption barriers, you make sure that your customers and beneficiaries are able to adopt the solution. I would say that any references, sources for your information and insights should be put after the thank you slide. This ensures that you have full access to them in the same pitch deck and are able to show them to the jury immediately when asked. This is very frequently asked during the Q&A session. Therefore, by adding the references as the last part of your pitch deck, you are able to provide one single file for the jury with all the necessary information to gain an understanding on your solution with no additional requirements. I'm going to show you another example for the pitch deck. This one from my own experience. Third Eye is a startup that I founded. We built a smart braille tablet that enables the blind students to easily access digital content. We basically want the students to see through touch. In the first slide, I create the context that is to be covered throughout the presentation. This includes the beneficiaries, the environments they work in, and the scenarios they face. Alice and Bob are two students studying in the same school and same classes. Though Alice is a diligent student, she performs poorly. This is mainly because of her inability to see the content being shown to her. Though Bob and Alice are exposed to the same lectures, reading materials, and content, Alice is severely inhibited by her blindness. The transformation of a traditional classroom to a digital classroom has not helped her either. Now, she has more difficulty in accessing the content as every information is available in digital form which is not easily accessible to her. While Bob is able to multitask and able to research, read and write his content from his tablet and phone, she has no such solution to ease her work. Alice dreams of a day when she has a smart device that is designed for people like her. She feels that it would help her overcome her impairment and become more successful in life. The small inconveniences she experiences in her daily life dent her confidence, and she has slowly lost her motivation to study and achieve her dreams. The three slides covered here explain the problems faced by the user and his characteristics, and in the context they face the problems. Following this, you need to explain about the significance of the market. This includes the geographical region, the magnitude of the problem faced by the different target groups, the frequency and incidence rate, and how it impacts their daily lives. This gives a good lead on what is your vision and how big the market is for the product you're building. Here, Third Eye is the company name and Tactile is the product that helps Alice achieve her dreams. Following the vision, we show the pictures of a product and explain in depth the features and functions it has. This is then linked to the benefits offered to the user and how it enables them to achieve their goals. Once the technical details are covered, we talk about the market. This covers the competition existing in the market, their gaps, the differentiation factor for the solution, and what makes a product compelling enough for the customers to buy. Team information is very important for conveying the capabilities and expertise required to take the product from idea to market. In Third Eye, there were 5 people who specialized in different areas. Milestones and development roadmaps give an indication that you have planned your next steps and know what is required to get the product to completion. A product development roadmap largely includes phases like market research, user research, software hardware integration, plans for funding, and how you're building your business to the next level. The common resources required for this are data analytics and insights from the market and user, technical and domain expertise through mentors, building your team capabilities, and finally, funding through accelerators and angel investors. A roadmap should integrate the resources with the different phases to showcase how they are utilized for business growth. It should provide models for how the business is being operated, the financial models required to fund the development, and strategies to acquire and scale the business. To conclude, you ask for a feedback and provide contact information for the audience to get back to you. Ensure that you always have an ask statement and share your contact information so that those interested parties can reach out to you outside of the presentation. One thing to remember is that your presentation is only as good as your content. The pitch deck is a visual aid for the presenter to showcase their content in a structured format. Therefore, make sure you are able to simplify the content for the dumbest person in the audience. It should be easy to understand with no technical or domain jargons that is not understandable. The presenter should not read the slides. He should know the content beforehand and have practiced it. The presenter should add more information or, in essence, amplify the core messages shown in the slides. You need to ensure that there is clarity in your information. This is done by properly defining the sources for the insights and by backing up your insights with relevant research and data. Ensure that the data is accurate and free from errors. This ensures that there is no misinterpretation. Discuss within your teams to identify the best presenter and choose them based on their ability to be clear, engage the audience, and convey the messages in the best possible way. You win as a team, not as an individual. Therefore, make sure that the person is the best for the job. If he is not able to present well, the audience will not grasp your idea and therefore you fail. Having a script is very important for a presentation. For this, you need to first define the purpose of the presentation, the audience, and the message to be conveyed. From this, you identify the necessary content needed to achieve the objective. This is translated into a definitive structure used as an outline for the presentation. This includes how you are going to present, what you are going to present. Based on this definition, you start preparing your content, identify what kind of visual material you're going to need and use in the presentation. Once the content is prepared, you fit it within the defined structure and ensure that you are able to cover it in the defined time constraints. Only then you start writing your script. This forms the meat for the bones that is presented in the slides. The bones give an idea of what is being talked about, while the meat adds additional information about the topic and amplifies the message being conveyed. You write the whole content and then customize it to match the presenter's ability to present it. This involves refining the content based on vocabulary, the pace, the clarity, any gestures that is necessary or can be included to amplify the message, what words and phrases that need to be stressed on. By doing this, you use your whole body to project the message and push your confidence out into the audience. When more than one person is presenting, there's always a challenge that the audience need to adapt to the new user's way of speaking. This takes some time and you need to be prepared for this. Therefore, if multiple people are involved, it is necessary that they know their parts and are able to work together as a cohesive unit. They both need to practice their parts so that the switch is timed at the right place and at the right time, and both know how they are going to exit and enter the stage. Timing and time constraint is another key factor that can affect the team performance. Once a presenter is chosen, they take responsibility for preparing the pitch deck and the script. This is to ensure that they are comfortable with the content and the structure. By preparing the script, they know the content and are not surprised by any new last-minute additions. After this, they need to rigorously practice. As you know, practice is what makes a man or woman perfect. With practice, one can present confidently and properly on stage. This is the secret for all successful speakers. To conclude, I advise you to be bold and confident when presenting. Your posture reflects your confidence level, and this is what motivates the audience to listen to you. Eye contact, smile, and a straight shoulder define a confident pose. Therefore, make sure you smile throughout the presentation and have eye contact with all sections of the audience. It sends a positive message to the jury that you are knowledgeable and know your topic. With this, I hope you have obtained some key insights on how to pitch and present. I wish you all the best and would like to thank you for attending this session.